there! Do you want to know something really cool? My hair is 160 inches long right now. I know, it's kind of a lot. Especially considering that I'm only 4 feet and 11 inches tall, so it looks even longer than it really is. I can literally cover self with my hair totally, and there still be several inches left. Isn't that super cool? Isn't it beautiful? Oh, but I'm sure you can imagine that the weight of all this hair is a little intense. It seems like these days my back issues are my closest friends. It all started around the age of 10, and from around that time, I experience awful pains in my neck and my back. Sometimes it gets so bad that I can't even get out of my bed. I also have headaches, even migraines, which no medicine really has been able to fix so far. Also, it's really hard for my fingers to braid all this hair. I get tired pretty easily and have to do it in increments. Anyway, long story short, this is a nightmare, and it's not worth any of the beauty I might get from it. But my mother doesn't think the same way I do. I've never cut my hair in my whole life, and I've got this weird gene mutation that keeps it growing. Usually it stops at a certain point for people, but not mine. Well, anyway, that's why it's so long, even though I'm only 16. I could have had it even longer, but because of split ends, my hair keeps breaking all the time, and I can't even brush it out properly, so if it wasn't tangled, it would probably be even longer. My mother used to help me with brushing and washing my hair when I was little. She still does it, but rarely. She used to have a lot of fun doing braids and funny updos, but I think it's just gotten too much for her. Although my hair and I have been in some shampoo commercials, we've made some good money at the time, but it makes me feel like I'm a product rather than the shampoo, so it's not really my thing. But to be honest, I used to think that everyone was just like me, Certain people's hair might grow faster and longer, and other people's just don't. So I wasn't very surprised at all the different people around me with different hair. I've met some people with really long hair, but none as quite as long as mine. Oh, how I've secretly envied all those people with short hair. Anyway, when I was a bit younger, I would get a lot of people that gave me compliments. They kept saying that I looked so beautiful and feminine. I was looking at their short hair thinking, well, yeah, I think you look pretty. Why can't I have short hair too? Oh, it's just so much hassle. My washing routine is an entire show. Do you even know how much conditioner I have to go through? I have to use an entire bottle every time I wash. It takes about 4 hours. What kind of kid can sit for 4 hours straight? Do you know how much time that takes away from school and homework and friends? It's frustrating. It wasn't until embarrassing recently when I finally learned the truth at school. The girls surrounded me between classes and asked whether or not it was difficult to maintain such long hair. I answered that, yeah, it was quite the burden, but I didn't have another option. I couldn't do anything about it. And that's when they told me about a hairdresser. I immediately ran home to my mother and asked her to please just cut it all off. I can't take this anymore. So I ran to my room, grabbed my savings, and demanded that she take me to a hairdresser. Or else I swore that I would cut my own hair with my own hands because I just can't live like this anymore. It was one of the first times we ever really fought. My mom was yelling at me saying that my hair was my pride and that it was the only pretty thing about me, and I should save it as a source of pride instead of threatening her with a haircut. I was only 8 at the time, so, what could I do? I didn't have any rights. I was a kid. That's why I just shut up and went away in tears, dreaming that my mother would someday change her mind, but wouldn't you know it, I was so wrong. At the age of 13, my mom sent me to a school trip for the first time. Just imagine a girl with really long hair in the camp shower. It was about 75 inches at that time. I honestly tried to manage it in some way to wash it and braid it because it hurt me to have it combed out, but then I returned home with a rat's nest for hair. My hair was tangled into all kinds of knots, which were full of grass and little sticks and dirt. It was impossible to comb everything out of my hair. But to be honest, deep down, I was really glad. I hoped that my mother would finally let me just chop it all off and everything would be fine. I swear I didn't tangle it on purpose. I just couldn't maintain it at camp. We were outdoors and running around and going swimming and hiking. There wasn't much I could do. It was torture, though. I'm pretty sure that's how people were tortured in the Middle Ages. My mother saw my hair and blamed me for sabotaging her plans. She made me brush everything out. We were trying to fix my hair for half the day using a ton of really expensive hair products. I was just crying in terrible pain. I'd never had a headache that bad before. But we made it. The results weren't very nice. My hair was damaged and torn. A third of the length just broke off. But it wasn't even or pretty, and as for me, I was fine, I guess. It's only hair. But not for my mother. Not for my dear, dear mother. From that time on, I'd never attended any camps, and I've always slept at home. Then the headaches really began in full force. My mom gave me pain pills and kept saying that I was making things up, but the pain was so strong that I couldn't even think straight, and the medicine didn't help. Secretly, I visited our school nurse, and she said it's because of the weight of my hair. And it's developed into me having some kind of spine displacement. I had to cut my hair and then go to the doctor and physical therapist to realign my back. And once again, my mother called it nonsense and said that I was making a fool of her and myself and others. It's difficult to even explain how I feel right now. My spine is at its worst state, and it's just falling apart. I'm falling apart. There's just not one displacement. My whole back needs to be fixed, and I can't do simple movements like lifting my arm up or bending over side to side because the pain is immense. My mother refuses to believe me. She doesn't let me go to the salon. She doesn't let me go to the doctor. I can't even run away because I don't have any money or a place to live. I'm just a kid. I have enough money for a haircut, but not for the treatment. I can only hope and wait that sooner or later my mother will change her mind, or that I can grow up enough to move out. Or else I could end up in a wheelchair. What mother would willingly subject her daughter to that kind of pain and torture when it's so easily avoidable? This isn't her body, it's mine. I should have control over it. But what can I do? I'm just a kid.
My name is Ella, and I'm Caitlin's mother. I really think the only good thing about her is her hair. My daughter is not very pretty, to say that lightly. I don't know how that happened because I'm pretty attractive. I guess it's because of her father, who left as soon as he appeared. To be honest, I can't even remember his face. But she has one good feature, her gorgeous blonde hair. It was so pretty and thick from the very childhood, like from the shampoo commercials. I was told that one should cut the child's hair off or even shave it, but I didn't have the heart to do it. That's when it all began. I couldn't understand why one should ruin such hair. I taught my daughter to maintain it and take care of it. I've told Caitlin that, despite her ugly face, she had pretty hair that she could be proud of. It was okay when Caitlin was a child. We've often gotten compliments and adoring glances during our walks. I could spend hours braiding and combing her hair. The most important thing was that behind that hair, no one was noticing her bandy legs and thinness. We were invited to do a commercial. My daughter was on the billboards for the whole year. That was the moment I decided to do everything to keep things that way. Who knew that Caitlin would grow up and decide to ruin all my hard work? The cut! Who decided to tell her about hairdressing salons? I began to fear that sooner or later, she would cut off her hair with her own hands. Fortunately, my authority made sense for her. She was afraid to do something that would make me angry, and with time, my fear faded away. Sometimes Caitlin was trying to talk about hairdressers again, but I immediately shut her mouth with my arguments and the power of a parent. That was difficult, especially when Caitlin ruined her hair at that camp. I guess she'd hoped that I'd see the nightmare and immediately let her cut her hair off. She was so naive. I've spent a lot of time and money, and I won't give up so easily. I just made her comb it out and fix everything. After that, Caitlin understood that her complaints wouldn't change anything and made up some diseases. She said her spine hurt. It can't hurt because of her hair. This I know for sure. I visited some doctors and they told me Caitlin was lying. She becomes older and I'm afraid that sooner or later, she would go out of my control. I'm trying to limit her autonomy as much as I can. I'm thinking of locking Caitlin somewhere just like Rapunzel's mother did. Unfortunately, this is illegal. That's why I'm trying to convince her that without her gorgeous hair, she would become nobody. I hope it works. Please do write in the comments section what you think about this story and its characters. Like the story, share it with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe so that you don't miss the next stories.